Coyote News, the USD Theater Department is premiering its version of an award-winning musical, and a popular coffee franchise might be arriving on SDSU's campus. I'm Taylor Moore.
And I'm Courtney Starrett. McDonald's is synonymous with their dollar menu, but after recent changes, are customers going to get less bang for their buck? And after overcoming a rare bone disease, a USD grad student is gearing up for Division I track and cross country.
Plus, the Dakota Dome was packed to capacity on Saturday as USD football fell to rival SDSU. And Kendall Crittenbrink was the first player in Coyote history to record 500 kills in a season. But first, the headlines with Caitlin Steffel.
President Barack Obama awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom to 50 individuals today to recognize them for their extraordinary lives. Among the recipients were former President Bill Clinton, Oprah Winfrey, baseball great Ernie Banks, and astronaut Sally Ride. The Medal of Freedom was created 50 years ago by President John F. Kennedy. Talks resumed today on a preliminary agreement to curb Iran's nuclear program. The U.S., Russia, China, France, Britain, and Germany came close to winning concessions from Tehran on its nuclear activity. That's in return for some sanctions relief at negotiations in Geneva earlier this month. U.S. officials say it would be hard to finalize a deal this week, as there are still differences in opinions. Western governments suspect Iran of possessing enriched uranium with covert desire to fuel nuclear weapons. And those are your headlines.
Students arrive at college expecting little to no supervision, but many come to the quick realization that this isn't the case. Routine room checks are a normal part of dorm life for students living on campus.
The policy for scheduled room entrances is that there's a 24-hour notice. It has to be posted in areas for people to see, so that way they know that there's going to be an entrance within 24 hours.
We asked students.
In my opinion, as a student, I believe that we pay enough to go here, that we should have a certain amount of privacy.
She's my car now, so. When you live in the res halls, you accept the community living policy, and within that policy, there are certain things that aren't allowed in rooms.
They never barged into my room or anything. When they did room checks, they didn't dig through my personal items. They didn't go through my closet, digging through my drawers, which made me feel a lot better because that'd be kind of weird.
Although students choosing to live on campus are not completely free of supervision, understanding the policies should help the adjustment. The USD Theater Department is premiering its fall production this week. Les Miserables opens tomorrow night in the Wayne S. Knutson Theater in the Fine Arts Building. Les Miserables is a multi-award-winning musical based on the novel by Victor Hugo. It follows the life of an ex-con as he becomes a respected businessman. Because of the musical's popularity, universities have just recently been given permission to put on the production. USD Theater is presenting one of the first university productions in the Great Plains region. Showings are tomorrow night through Saturday at 7:30 and a 2 o'clock matinee on Sunday afternoon.
And with the opening of Les Miserables, Coyote News wants to know how often you attend USD Theater productions. What can the department or university do more to encourage more attendance? And do you have a favorite production you've seen at USD? Comment on our question on our Coyote News Facebook page or tweet us a response at Coyote News. We'll share some of the responses at the end of tonight's newscast. Coming up after the break, USD Provost Chuck Staben is going to be the new president of the University of Idaho. And next semester students at SDSU might be purchasing their morning coffee from Starbucks. Stay with us.
Hey Julie, could I get the usual?
USD is recognizing International Education Week. Tonight, the Political Science League's International Film Series continues with a film from Chile titled No at 8 p.m. in Farber Hall. The film is about an advertising executive who designs a campaign to defeat Chile's military dictator in a referendum vote. There's also a cultural palette food tasting tomorrow in the Muck Ballroom prior to the premiere of Les Miserables and a performance from the Caribbean Coyote Steel Drum Band on Friday. International Education Week promotes programs which prepare Americans for a global environment and attract future leaders from abroad to study, learn, and exchange experiences in the United States. After 5 years at USD, Provost Chuck Staben is leaving South Dakota to become the president of the University of Idaho. Kurt Hackemer, USD's Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, will serve as interim provost. God News' Kathleen Surrey is live in the Muck with Dr. Staben to discuss his new position. Kathleen.
Thanks, Taylor. This February, USD faculty is going to be facing some changes when their provost, Chuck Staben, transfers to Idaho. Thanks for being with us today, Dr. Staben.
Thank you.
So why exactly did you apply for this position?
Well, it's a great university. I'm really looking forward to being there. I've had a great time here at USD, but this is a new opportunity, a little bit larger responsibility, and something I've always wanted to do.
What are you looking forward to most as being a president of a university?
Well, really being able to set the direction of the university, develop a shared vision with the rest of campus and with the people of Idaho, and serving those needs.
Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, what are you going to miss most about USD?
Well, I think the friends and colleagues that I've made here, and so, they're wonderful faculty, staff, and great students, and I will miss them.
Over your 5 years here, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment?
Well, I think one of my accomplishments was helping the university through some financial difficulties and helping to establish a financial model that I think will be very sustainable for the university.
Now, when will the university start their search for an official provost?
President Abbott has not announced exactly when he will do that, but I think he'll do it very soon. There is sort of a season to these things, and if he would like to have a provost in place by July, which I know he would, this is really the time to start very, very shortly.
All right, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Provost Chuck Staben, and live from the Muck, I'm Kathleen Surrey.
Although the plans aren't yet final, SDSU could potentially be bringing a Starbucks to their campus. After Student Affairs voted to replace the existing Java City with the popular franchise, some USD students are curious. Could this possibly lead to a Starbucks in Vermilion, and do students want one? Some of us need it to start our busy days, a few make it at home, while others prefer it on the go, and some of them prefer a certain brand, such as Caribbean Starbucks.
Here. I really don't think business would change too much if we changed to Starbucks. Our espresso machines would probably change and maybe a couple of recipes, but prices would remain the same, and I think because of the convenience area, it would still remain just as popular as it is.
At SDSU, Student Affairs sent out various surveys to students to get a general idea of what students wanted to change on campus. USD students' opinions are mixed to whether a new coffee shop is necessary.
There's plenty of coffee shops around that you can get coffee anywhere, and I don't feel like it's too different in between each brand, so.
Definitely Starbucks, because I just got a $25 gift card there, and it's really good.
I like what we have here, actually. I like the brewed, I'm more of a brewed coffee drinker than like a fluff coffee drinker. And I guess in comparison, I like our coffees more than other places that I've had coffee, so.
If the tentative plan is settled, SDSU and Airmark may have Java City replaced with Starbucks during the semester break. Do you sometimes suffer from road rage? Is the pedestrian crosswalk by North Complex one of your biggest pet peeves? Well, on this week's blog, Chuck Gresser reminds drivers to be mindful of traffic laws and pedestrians.
Folks, have you ever been hit by a car? Would you like to avoid getting hit by a car? If you answered yes, I suggest moving out of South Dakota. If you answered no, you're probably one of the South Dakotan drivers I'm talking about. Trust me, I know Minnesotans are much worse, but South Dakota's pretty close. South Dakota has a relatively sparse population. You'd expect the chances of getting hit to decrease, as there are fewer drivers on the road comparatively to other more populous regions. To stand by this assumption would be folly, poppycock, claptrap. Try to go on a walk around noon or 4:30, two of the busiest times of day. Half the drivers become irate when they have to come to a full stop for a pedestrian. Sorry, cowboy, I got places to be too. I understand that it wasn't too long ago you were all riding around on horseback everywhere you went. In areas of residence and business, the speed limits vary between 20 to 25 miles per hour. Some of the roads don't line up straight. Some intersections are unmarked. Yield signs sneak out from behind a tree, none of which seem to follow any systematic placement. Yeah, sometimes driving in certain areas sucks. But to think that you are above the law is an erroneous assumption. Get over yourselves. To those of you who are driving safely, I tip my hat to you. I hope you start taking the rules seriously, because following the rules isn't enough to fulfill your civic duty. Call those people out who don't come to a full stop. Honk. Give them the one-finger peace sign. Do anything short of endangering others to let them know they are endangering others. Well, that's all I've got about dangerous drivers. I hope all of you watching have a wonderful Thanksgiving, which essentially has become the day we all give thanks and celebrate that we humans invented gunpowder before the turkeys did. For Coyote Blog, I'm Chuck Gobble Gobble Gresser. See you, folks.
Coming up after the break, find out how the Vermilion McDonald's is changing up their popular dollar menu and hear about how students feel about it. Plus, students share their go-to study tips. Stay tuned.
One hungry college kid, one sandwich, $1. This is how things used to be at Vermilion's McDonald's when students wanted a quick, cheap meal. But since McDonald's discontinued the popular dollar menu, there's been a lot of confusion. Coyote News spoke with General Manager Greg Paquette to find out how the menu change is affecting local customers.
We still have the dollar menu, it's just some of the things have dropped off, others have been added.
Paquette says the dollar menu is not the only change at McDonald's.
We have a $2 menu that's new, and that's something we never had before.
Students had mixed feelings about the menu changes.
It's actually kind of an insult, and I'm kind of disappointed because I actually go there all the time when I'm up late at night doing homework and I need a bite to eat.
When I eat there, it's like late at night, you know, the midnight menu, and I don't have the dollar menu that night, so it doesn't really have an effect on me.
Paquette says the changes were made to take advantage of customers.
Any price increases we take are by necessity, not by desire for higher profits.
The menu changes have been in effect for 2 weeks.
The Campus Activities Board is most known for bringing big concerts to USD's campus, but the group has some events this week that students might not be aware of. Coyote News' Nicole Griffith is live in the muck with Katie McNeil to find out more about these events. Nicole?
Thanks, Courtney. With finals right around the corner, students are looking for activities to help relieve the stress. Thank you, Katie, for being with me today. What activities is CAB holding currently?
Well, tonight we're teaming up with Spectrum and we're having a speaker named Timothy Keurig, so that'll be really good. Tomorrow night, or technically Friday morning at midnight, we're having the Catching Fire premiere, so it's the sequel to Hunger Games, and then lately we've been doing bands like XY Unlimited or comedians or other speakers.
How was the organization able to sell discounted tickets to students?
Well, we went to the actual theater and we talked to them and said we wanted to buy out a whole theater and that we would pay $4 for every ticket, so students only had to pay the other half, which was $3.
How did you advertise this event to the students?
Everyone kind of already knew Catching Fire was coming, so we really just kind of did word of mouth. We put up a couple posters, but we've done other cool advertising techniques for other events.
How is the student participation in these events?
Student participation is usually really good. That was one of our goals this year, was to make sure we're bringing what the students like and that they're realizing we have these events and coming to them. So it's definitely been really good this year. We've seen a lot of turnout to our events.
Are there any specific plans for finals week? Like, I know last year you had the puppies and you brought the relaxation. Will that be making a return?
Yes, we're in charge of the relaxation bar, so we'll be bringing that back again this year because students usually really like it.
All right, well, thank you so much. Once again, that was Katie McNeil of Campus Activities Board, live in the muck. I'm Nicole Griffith.
In the past, final exams at USD have been administered for 1 week. But this year, this isn't the case. After receiving approval from the South Dakota Board of Regents in March of 2012, final exams will be taken over the course of 2 weeks. The last day of classes for the fall semester is Tuesday, December 10th, and there will be no classes the following day. Final exams start on Thursday and end the following week on Wednesday, December 18th. This calendar will remain in effect through the 2019-2020 school year. The university will host several events for the 2 weeks, including President Abbott Late Night Final Breakfast, a finals relaxation program, and finals bingo.
When it comes to studying for major exams, every student seems to have their own plan of attack, whether it's by using note cards, doing practice quizzes, or cramming the night before. This week, we asked students if they have any study habits that other students should know about.
I try not to study at home too much, and I try to go to the library where it's a little quieter, and I like to listen to music while I study.
I think just spending time with the stuff is what you have to do.
I make a lot of lists and prioritize assignments that I have for myself.
I think studying in the library helps a lot just because you can get, the atmosphere is really quiet if you have the potential to do that.
At least start studying 2 days before your test.
I think that any building besides the library is really good because then there's less people, less distractions, and it's usually more quiet, like the B School or Al New Hearth.
No, I don't study.
Definitely not cramming. It's the best one. But I would say like revision, just like revision ahead of time and then planning enough time within the week to study.
I'm personally motivated by being around people, and so usually I sit with people.
Well, I tend to just study in my room, even though a lot of people don't like to do that, and I just will work on it for like a few hours at a time instead of trying to do it in just 1 hour spurts so I can.
On this week's Jolt Report, Kaya News' Megan Hilson finds out how USD grad student Taylor Chapman is taking on Division I athletics after recovering from a rare bone disease.
The Coyote men's track and cross-country teams have seen plenty of success since joining the Summit League, and this season the team hopes to continue that success with an unlikely new contributor. After overcoming a rare bone disease and winning an NAI national championship, grad student Taylor Chapman is taking on a new obstacle, Division I track and cross-country. In his senior year of high school, Chapman suffered a spinal cord injury that ended his hopes of playing college basketball, and he was left with his least favorite sport, running.
For me, it was an outlet to kind of just forget and like relieve myself of my past injury in high school.
After a successful first year as a distance runner for Morningside College in Sioux City, he discovered the medication for his injury had given him a rare bone disease called avascular necrosis. Nearly a year later, his disease left him with a titanium hip and a decision.
I just grew to like love running so much, and then to have it told again to yourself that you can't do what you love. I mean, it really like kind of crushes you mentally.
But after 3 months of rehab, Chapman began running again and eventually led the Mustangs to a 4x800 meter relay NAI national championship and a men's outdoor championship his senior year.
It's definitely like an emotional high that I've overcome so much adversity and to kind of come back out on top again.
With 1 year of eligibility left, Chapman came to USD to begin grad school and finish his running career. So far, Chapman's presence has already been felt this cross-country season, placing 4th at the Summit League conference meet and earning first-team all-conference honors.
I mean, obviously, a big part of my heart is always going to be at Morningside, but to just come here and see the passion that all these athletes have, they really care a lot about being a Coyote and being a part of the university, and that just wears off on everybody. And I know I've been here 2 months, but I love it here.
For the Yote Report, I'm Megan Hilson.
Coming up after the break, the Coyotes played their final home football game of the season in front of a packed Dakota Dome this weekend, and the women's basketball team fell to North Dakota. Stay with us.
Not getting your message across clearly? Contact Coyote Creative for all your promotional needs.
Matt on Coyote Sports. As the fall athletic season comes to a close, winter sports are just getting started. The women's basketball team loses its third straight game, and sports commentator Malachi Peterson talks recruiting. I'm John Weatherington.
And I'm Erica Arpan. The cross-country teams finish their seasons and even rank at the regional meet. Plus, we'll have highlights from the USD-SDSU football game. But first, the headlines. Caitlin?
LeBron James has been in discussion with soccer icon David Beckham to potentially bring a Major League Soccer franchise back to South Florida. LeBron already has an ownership stake with Liverpool of the English Premier League and has been following the sport closely during the NBA offseason. Golf pro Dewey Arnett is behind the Tim Tebow promotion that's hitting the Florida Times-Union newspaper. Arnett charges $400 for an hour at the course with Tebow and spent $1,200 to buy this ad. The ad read, "Dear Mr. Khan, sign Tim Tebow and we'll fill the stadium." After 13 years, Michigan State is finally #1 in the Associated Press poll. The Spartans moved up one spot Monday after beating top-ranked Kentucky in Chicago last week. Michigan also received 51 of the first-place votes from the 65-member national media panel. And that's a look at what's new in sports.
The women's volleyball team dropped their fourth straight game to end the regular season. The loss came from Western Illinois. Kendall Critton-Brink had 24 kills and became the first player in Coyote history to record 500 kills in a season. She's now 6 kills away from passing her sister Kristen for second on USD's all-time kill list at 1,396. Saturday was the final home game of the season for USD's football team, and it was one of the biggest games of the year. The Dakota Dome was filled to capacity with thousands of USD and SDSU fans waiting to watch the in-state rivalry game. The Jackrabbits lost their first possession with an interception, but the Coyotes wouldn't score until the second quarter. SDSU led throughout the game, with USD coming within a point. A fumble late in the fourth quarter by SDSU running back Zach Zenner gave USD hope. But on the next play, quarterback Kevin Earl threw an interception that was returned for the Jacks' touchdown. USD had multiple opportunities to tie or to take the lead throughout the game, but wasn't able to capitalize. That pick six sealed the game for SDSU, and the Jacks won 27-12. The Coyotes are now 4-7 this year and travel to Fargo this weekend to take on North Dakota State for the last game of the season.
The women's basketball team fell to North Dakota 65-61 Sunday. This was North Dakota's first win of the season, while the Coyotes have lost 3 in a row after winning their first match. Sophomore point guard Taya Hemiller had a career-high 16 points, and sophomore center Margaret McLeod had a double-double of 10 points and 10 rebounds. South Dakota will host Drake tomorrow at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. The men's cross-country team placed 12th, and the women took 22nd at the NCAA Division I Midwest Regional Championships hosted by Iowa State University on Friday. The men were led by sophomore Mubarak Musa, who placed 21st out of 205 competitors. Musa also earned all-region honors for finishing in the top 25. Sophomore Katie Whitestein had her season-best time and finished 41st.
On this week's commentary, Malachi Peterson talks about diamonds in the rough.
NCAA football is nearing the playoffs, and basketball is just getting started. There are a lot of new faces on some of our favorite teams, but how do these players get to their respective schools? Let's talk recruiting, or lack of recruiting. Here's one example, Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. He's an NFL MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and perhaps the most key element to the Packers' offense. Rodgers was barely recruited out of his California high school. People were concerned about his small size. He only received a walk-on offer from the University of Illinois, so he chose to attend Bayou Community College in Oroville, California. That's a junior college, or JUCO. After tearing up the field in his first year, he received an offer from the University of California, ended up getting drafted 24th overall to the Green Bay Packers in the 2005 NFL Draft, and the rest is history. Okay, great stories, but what's my point in all this? I suppose I just want to point out the fact that the amount of great players that get overlooked or go undiscovered is a lot more than people think. This is especially true when great players come from smaller schools. Some coaches credit the lesser competition for an athlete's outstanding performance. If coaches go after the all-league players from the big schools and the player ends up not doing much, the coaches can pull the, well, everyone else thought he or she would be good card. They're safe. However, I feel that some coaches are afraid to go after the diamonds in the rough. Because if the athlete doesn't end up being very good, there's nothing to justify why he or she should be at the school. In my opinion, whether you come from a big school or a small school, it's all about your work ethic and desire. Those have nothing to do with the size of your school or your popularity. So to any athletes out there who are doubting their abilities, keep working. You have the control of how great you can be. For Coyote Sports, I'm Malachi Peterson.
Thanks, Malachi. After the break, Thanksgiving is often revered for its many food options. Find out what students don't want to see on the dinner table. Plus, a look at your Facebook and Twitter responses. Stay with us.
Excuse me, ma'am, what is this?
Obstacle course training. It's how we prepare our staff to get you the news first. Not bad. The Blonde, first to the news, first to you. The student's voice for 125 years.
With Thanksgiving just around the corner, some students can't wait for a traditional home-cooked meal of turkey, mashed potatoes, and pumpkin pie. But what about the not-so-traditional food that sometimes makes an appearance during the holidays?
On this week's Out and About, we asked students what food they don't want to see on the Thanksgiving table this year.
Cranberries, I'm not very big into that, I guess.
Probably ham. I'm a pretty traditional turkey kind of gal. I guess I don't really like pumpkin pie.
I do not like rhubarb pie at all.
Oh, probably like yams or something weird like that.
I don't want to see turkey.
I really don't like green beans, so green bean casserole. A lot of people like it. I hate it.
I probably wouldn't want to see canned cranberries. They're kind of gross.
Stuffing. Why not? I don't like stuffing.
Probably cranberries. I hate cranberries. I have to say beets, because my grandma always likes to have them on the table, and I usually confuse them with cranberries.
Strippers. Stuffing, because, I don't know, I just never liked it, especially when you put all sorts of weird vegetables in it.
Ooh, cranberries. I'm not a fan.
Do not want to see Clay Hoffman's underwear.
And now for your Facebook and Twitter responses. We asked how often you attend USD Theater Productions, what might encourage you to attend more, and what is your favorite?
Kimberly Andrews says Grease is her favorite of all time. She says she doesn't usually attend USD Productions, but rather the Vermilion Community Theater because her kids are involved.
And Sammy Zoss says her favorite production is Guys and Dolls.
Thanks for your responses. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter so you can respond to our questions each week. A new copy of the Volant hit newsstands today. Be sure to pick up a paper to read how USD's meal plans might change with the opening of national food chains in the MUC. Plus, the Volant continues its Women's Series this week with a look at sexual harassment. Those stories and many others can be found online at volantonline.com.
That's all for Coyote News. We won't have a newscast next week because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but be sure to tune in December 4th for the Red Report. Remember, it's not real news, it's the Red Report.
And if you think it looks easy, you might want to audition for an on-air anchor spot for next semester's Coyote News TV. Auditions start Wednesday, December 11th. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.